Heyo, and welcome to another episode of Obsidian Extra Lives. I'm your host, player sports specialist Chris Stanick, and I'm joined by two special guests from Slug Disc Studio's co-founders, John Connor and Liam Comerford.
Hello.
Hi there. Sorry, I'm listening to you, Chris, and I can hear. I don't know if it's Max or Pete's talking to me.
Is he? What's he talking about?
I don't know. I was getting two sets of audio. We turned him down. I think he's worried about how small he is.
That sounds like a Pete problem. That, and you're going to see he's going to constantly complain about Brussels sprouts. Apparently, his parents both don't make them very well. So I'm worried about Pete's home life. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Go ahead, John.
Okay, we're a group of friends initially who've known each other for a very long time, who decided it would be a great idea to make a computer game about insects. It seems like Obsidian reached the same conclusion.
We did indeed. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Liam?
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay,
No problem.
That'll slow me down, won't it? Yeah, what did John say?
The same. Jeff had an opportunity. You've been punching too many ants.
A group of
Considering we make the ant game, I'm not sure you should be punching the ants.
Well, I want to see how they react. No, I shouldn't. I should just looking after them, shouldn't I? I don't know. Yeah, so I work with John on Empires of the Undergrowth. We've been developing that one game now for a long time. It's kind of fuzzy how long we've actually been doing it for. But it released at the end of 2017, and we've been doing that since. So we're kind of ant game experts, very specific area. Yeah.
You'll have to tell us if our ants are behaving scientifically or not.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I will. Yeah.
I'm not sure there's any data about how they respond to very small humans.
You both didn't start with a background in gaming traditionally, or had much interest originally.
Pretty cute up close.
Is that?
Well, I wouldn't say that. We've both been playing games for as long as games existed. Well, not quite that long. I'm not quite that old.
Well, you were there when they made
my
Go?
first system was a ZX Spectrum.
Okay.
So I was playing games like Manic Miner and Chucky Egg. Oh God, I'm being attacked by something.
Sorry, that was me.
It's Liam.
Didn't I say Liam was going to be the agent of chaos?
No, I just wanted to check out what hook meant.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing games since then, and then I had an Amiga 500.
Okay.
With like Lemmings and Captain Planet and what else did we play on that? They were like the games you got at launch. Monkey Island.
Okay.
I loved adventure games back in the day. And then we got into real-time strategy with a lot of like lot of Warcraft and Starcraft.
I'll start working on my acceptance.
Grew up with those sort of strategy games, and that's kind of where our
Peter,
love for RTS
English?
games came from.
Okay.
Those Starcraft and Starcraft 2.
So were you kind of similar in that same way, Liam, where you always were playing games and just kind of grew up with them and fascinated by them?
I didn't have those. The consoles, the systems, I think you call them consoles, as early as John. I think I had a couple things, but I wasn't. I didn't seem as good at using them. I remember the first thing that I could actually load games on was a Amiga 1200, which is quite a while afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we both got into real-time strategy. We both liked Dungeon Keeper.
Ooh, yes.
Dungeon Keeper.
It's a huge influence for Empires of the Undergrowth. Is Dungeon Keeper.
Okay.
Your subterranean underlord, overlord or underlord?
Underlord sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And you tunnel out the earth below the ground, and you recruit demons and spiders and flies and all sorts of nasty things to you, and kill the Lord of the Land. Is generally the aim of
okay.
Dungeon Keeper levels.
Empires of the Undergrowth.
That ladybug?
You said it's been in
Plus
early
Grace will
access
love
for 7 years or so now.
Not that long.
5.
5. Okay.
5. Is it 5? I think it's 5. Yeah.
But
solitary
you
ant.
you both
One
you
of
you both went
100,000
to the
mindless
University of
drones.
Liverpool.
No hopes.
Liam, you're a
dreams,
PhD.
Bound to
Yeah.
the will
And
of
John,
the
and then you
colony.
both taught the
Fodder for adventuring
educational
parties.
technologist.
Well,
Oh, Peter.
Yeah. So we both
Sort of.
we studied engineering, and then we got a job doing it's kind of like it's like educational software. We were sort of
in material
developer,
science.
yeah, in university, and we kind of learned a lot of programming bits and pieces at that point. I mean, you learn some doing engineering anyway, but not like computer science.
So,
or
so
web
that's where the
programming or anything
programming
like that.
knowledge kind of came in.
Yeah,
was-
so we got like a bunch of different skills doing that, and then like I remember I did it. Oh, what's this? What's happening?
I'm cutting
Just
down
lobbed a
some.
load of planks at you.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, that's okay.
cutting down some stuff.
All right.
As soon as it's daytime, we'll be able to adventure.
At some point, I think John was still making educational technology for material science. I was doing earthquake simulation research in Germany.
Okay, that's interesting.
And we started making. We've been
Not
making
either,
we've been
but
making Empires of the Undergrowth for a while, not really knowing like what we're doing. There was a Kickstarter that failed, then another one that was successful. It wasn't much money, but it was enough to make early access. It was enough to pay Matt, the third developer, to not have a job. So he took the biggest risk, really. Me and John both kind of had careers, and we're doing it in our other time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because were you tenured professors probably at this point?
Oh, not quite. No, that takes a while.
Okay.
But yeah, so the
You're on that
Kickstarter
path
money-
though.
Yeah,
You're
was
sort of on
paid-
that path.
Here, I've
paid
got an axe for one of
the
you.
third developer.
We
then
have
we went into-
equipment. There's one axe.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh,
Quick,
there's
get
only what?
Hang on, no, I can craft one. I can figure out how to craft one.
I guess what I really want to ask is, you have some basic experience in programming. You have a love for video games. You have an idea, and then you go for it. What was that like? Like just taking the leap, and then like the challenges that you faced.
Terrifying.
Yeah, the horrible thing. I mean, it was when it came out in early access. That was, I mean, the leap before that was probably biggest for Matt. Me and John didn't have much of a social life before that because we were working
Here.
2 jobs essentially.
We should each grab a stack of planks because that's going to help us.
Oh,
where
sorry.
we're going to head. No, it's fine.
I-
I keep chopping down.
I've got 5.
All right, we got them all on our shoulder like we're working. All right, follow me. We're going to take these and
Okay.
build a way to the new base.
Someone asked that they saw that we received a grant from the government, and yeah, that's true. That was actually between the first and the second Kickstarter. In fact, we may well have died.
Oh, go back. This is the gas. Sorry, it's hard to tell in the dark.
The locker room after double practice.
That
There's
doesn't
a,
sound good.
yeah,
Whatever
no,
that
that's a
is,
stink
it
bug.
doesn't
Run away
sound-
from that. Run away from that.
Okay. I think I've lost my planks.
That's okay.
Let me in, coach.
Yeah, we received a grant from the government at one point, which, very early on, which managed to
Oh.
keep Matt with us because he wasn't receiving anything at that point.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of handed that lifeline.
Here,
I mean, I guess
hang
that would
in
be the
there.
hardest
It was
thing.
a combination
Okay.
of that and the Kickstarter that was all funneled into Matt basically.
Yeah, I mean, because
I need some help.
you can have all the ideas and everything, but like, you know, you got to have somebody to make the game. And
Yeah.
Matt
Yeah.
seems really pivotal in all this. Matt, wherever you are,
I've got
great
you.
job.
Yeah, asleep probably.
Oh, run away!
This
We're
is
all
going
gonna die.
really well.
We're all gonna die.
There's a spider.
This is just a regular grounded stream. This is they're gonna fight each other. This is great. So one of the big challenges
dead.
I've heard so far is just keeping funding, keeping your team together.
It At the very beginning, they are the challenges, but everything changes once.
There's a
once you've
wasp.
got
What's
something
the
in the market.
procedure?
Run.
It's having me grass.
The procedure is always run. All right. So
So-
you've got your
Field
team, you've got
station,
Matt, and you've got your funding going.
Yeah.
These are very early times.
Very early times. What stands out? I mean, I guess because teaching and doing this is different, but I guess like what other challenges did you find you were facing that you maybe weren't expecting as you continued development on the game? Like, I guess there was a lot of controversy over what can roar.
It's hard to. I don't think because I didn't think any of us had it in our heads that we knew what to expect.
I mean, one thing that happened during development was we completely changed the storyline. So the story was meant to go one way, and it just flipped and it went another, and that was actually due to cash flow at the beginning. We were trying to figure out how we could get everything that we wanted done, and then we sort of made an executive decision to change how the campaign flowed.
Okay.
So you were meant to be playing as this species of ant, which is fictional, and you were meant to be traveling with them, but there were so many questions about how that would operate and how it would work. We sort of changed it so you were in a lab.
It was really last minute.
'cause-
It was basically there was this campaign. It was maybe 15, 20 missions long, and we realized there's no way we're going to be able to make that many with the sort of scope we had in mind. We're going to have to go with an early access release, and nobody we didn't think early access would work just doing like part of a story. So we decided we needed to do it more modular. So we came up with this idea where we'll just do standalone missions instead of a campaign. But we gelled them all together with this idea of being in a lab. It's like your home, and the
excuse
lab
me
is
for
like
one
the
second.
story that gets continued each time we update the game.
Moon
but
Glory
each time there's an update, there's these standalone missions, and was all decided because we had to rush into early access really long time ago.
And
Sorry,
it
I
turned
didn't
out
mean-
to be one of the best decisions we've made.
Yeah. I think I can't imagine it the other way now. I don't think it'd be as good.
Okay, so I have to
Oh,
do
no,
I have
I'm
to
dead
do a
again.
funny voice a
Got
little
me.
bit. You should die and respawn at the kid case.
Right, I'll go there.
Okay, we'll get you because we're really close to that. So we have the charities that we're supporting is the Children's Hospital of Orange County, and we have donation incentives. And right now I have to do a silly voice. So please forgive me while I do that for
Looking forward to this.
how long did we say? For 5 minutes? Okay, you guys are gonna love this. Here, but now I have to talk like this for a little bit, and I'm really, really sorry.
Lovely.
All right, 5 minutes on the
Make
clock.
things
Was that
perfectly
voice
normal.
like predetermined, or
Well,
like, do you have a selection that people can choose from?
Sometimes they'll just choose, and sometimes I go with what I know. So, have you ever seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Oh
Yeah, you sound
yes,
like
you're.
Jake. Oh no, you're little meat one.
No, me
Yeah,
too.
boy, what's up? Anyways, so
That's pretty
it's hard
good.
to think of questions like this. It's not fair.
And it is.
Can you do some meat one catchphrases?
Shoot! No! I'll be in the garage laying sheetrock. I'm a man's man, boy.
That is a big ant.
In my adventurer's manual,
I was-
bigger
yeah, I wasn't
creatures
expecting
have
this.
What how much of your engineering educational background has gone into Empires of the Undergrowth? That's really hard to say like that. I'm dying again.
Mosquito. I've been playing Valheim recently, so I've definitely got a high fear of mosquitoes. Deathsquitoes, as they call them in that game.
Just keep
Drink some
pushing
of this
away. They're going to
stuff.
stop following
Perfect
eventually.
blocked.
Yes!
Oh, what's this big bug? Ah!
Oh, the mosquito will suck your blood and get stronger too, so just get away from him.
It's quite relevant. All the programming
Yeah.
stuff's relevant.
like being able to visualize graphs is something that has become really handy. So you want something to get harder, but at a faster rate, the harder it gets. So it's got to go exponential. So you visualize the graph, and you can sort of come up with the equation for the graph.
And bodging stuff is something we learned. We learned that early on, and there was a continual sort of sense of bodging things towards, assignments and exams, that like something just had to work to do a specific thing, even if it wasn't quite right. And that comes in handy a lot. Like if you've trained in that seems to be a lot of game development. Although we're paying for that now. Maybe that's why we've been in early access for 5 years.
Oh, there's antlions in the base. What is going on? Were you in this?
Yeah.
So not only are you developers, then you got into publishing as well, and is the theme just around like nature, like inspired games, and like some educational value as well?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's kind of just happened that way. I don't think they've all got educational value necessarily. What happened was.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think if you're treating for example, in Empires, like the ants, where the queen has to be there, and you keep the queen fed, and the ants in the colony are all working together, right? I mean, there's a degree of realism there that is informational.
It's dangerous to say it's educational though, because then it has to be even more accurate.
I see.
But there's a lot you can learn from the game for sure. And then the other ones like Beetle Uprising, it's got nothing to do with real beetles, but there's a pretty accurate genetic simulation in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's another genetic simulation in Ecosystem that's like an evolution simulation game. Then there's Adapt, that's another evolution game. It doesn't simulate evolution though, it's more sort of high level than that. Like predator prey mechanics and how different creature abilities work, but they're all based on real things. So I suppose you could say you could learn something from that.
Okay.
I mean, Adapt kind of feels like the second section in Spore. It's kind of got that sort of feel to it.
Okay.
If you played Spore.
I have. I loved the idea of Spore and going through it all, and then we are just like, wow, I'm like a full civilization. I went from like a germ to tribes to all those things. That's really interesting that it's kind of got that part of it, because I think that in between part between being like technologically advanced and a germ is like the sweet spot for me in that game.
Yeah. That's how most people feel about it. I
actually really like the start of Spore.
I like the start. I didn't like how it ended so fast. It was a really good 2D game. I would have played that for ages and become a massive germ.
Empires: The End of the Growth is an RTS. What RTSs influenced you, or do you? We talked about StarCraft and Warcraft. Are those your
StarCraft?
StarCraft very heavily.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were playing a lot of StarCraft 2 whilst we were developing it early on, weren't we?
Yeah, but also like we mentioned earlier, Dungeon Keeper.
That's right.
Dungeon Keeper's not real. It's not really an RTS. It's kind of it's more management than RTS. But we kind of blended RTS into the Dungeon Keeper formula. So it's somewhere between Dungeon Keeper and StarCraft.
It's also more simple than an RTS. You can't control the units individually. You can just control. Yeah. In an RTS, you tend to have control groups that you're supposed to set up yourself. You sort of set them up, you put units in control groups, and then you control your control groups.
Yeah, you've got your pheromone
Empires,
groups.
the Undergrowth kind of just sort of skips a step where everything spawns into a control group. You can move things between control groups, but the only way to issue orders is through your control groups. And so that makes it a lot less micro heavy. It makes the sort of ceiling for new players a lot lower if they're not used to RTSs, and it opens it up to being able to have more sort of complex, like long-term sort of management kind of things going on. So yeah, so it's sort of like RTS light meets sort of base building management game.
It also kind of reminds me of there's Dwarf Fortress that does it, but then there's also it's like the management games where you're basically, you don't do this in your game in particular, at least I haven't seen, but you can prioritize orders of what you want things to do, and they're just going to do them and hope that they do them.
You can do that. We considered. I think it comes from the original Simant. Is there a triangle of
like needs?
I never actually played Simant.
Is that
Should admit that.
Close.
Yeah, there's a triangle in Simant.
So in Empires, like the ants are automated. They'll do jobs. You issue them with sort of. Okay, so you have battle ants. They're in the groups. They go out and you fight with them, but you have workers that do stuff in the nest.
Yep.
And they work automatically. So you like click on some tiles to dig them out, and they'll start digging. Like the nearest ants will go and start digging. There's a whole manager that deals with that, chooses who goes where.
Another
But then there's other jobs like building and
maintaining the
eggs around the
food.
nest. They'll organise themselves to do it in the most efficient way. But there's a hidden priority list that sort of we assume is the best.
Okay.
But what you can do is you can then put your workers in one of these control groups, and you can send your workers to an area, and they'll prioritize whatever jobs you've placed in that area. So you can, like you can if you've got more. If you can do more clicks, if you can do more micro, you can be more efficient. You can move your workers around. You can do things a lot faster. So
in English.
let's say you need to get a lot of eggs quickly, but digging jobs are prioritized, and you've left a load of digging jobs on. You've only got 5 worker ants alive,
I missed.
but you've got 100 worker ants ready to spawn. You just need to get the eggs there. Like if you just left everything going, it'd take you like a couple minutes to get your army back. But if you put them in a group and send them to where you want them to go, they'll take the eggs there and do everything for you. So you can either sit back and play kind of on easy mode, not click too much, just make jobs, or you can
And kind
really
of
send
enjoy
things
like
and-
the colony or like having an ant farm experience yourself. You're founders of a studio. You've got Matt. What is like your day-to-day? Are you kind of in the code, poking around, coming up with design or systems or things like that?
I mean, we're a remote studio, and we always have been. Even before the pandemic, we were remote. So we wake up, we roll over to our PC, press the power button.
Lollipops.
That one looks difficult.
Nice job.
I probably need to focus here.
You got this. Take your time.
Which blade do you jump from?
The one that doesn't look like you can land on it.
Yeah, the one that really looks sketchy.
Let me hook a rock at it for you. It's that
You
one.
did, you did.
Well done.
There you go. Brilliant.
Okay. But yeah, we're very heavily involved in the development side of it. I mean, we've got a few employees now.
Okay.
So we got we get help with marketing because that was taking way too much time from development from us. So we employ we've got and community management as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're
you know
involved in
about that.
community management.
Oh, no. I remember I said, because he's here, I'm the assistant to the community manager.
You're
I'm the player support
the assistant
specialist.
community manager. Assistant to the community manager, sorry.
Gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah. One day, maybe our
I need to
community
drink.
manager will get an assistant.
I need to drink or die. I'm in
You should have a canteen.
Canteen? Do you have
Yep.
any canteens?
I
do
dropped
not.
like 2 or 3 of them.
I've got some.
I'm eating a
I dropped
mushroom.
them.
I don't know if there's any moisture in it.
I just dropped the canteen.
Oh no!
I'm gonna have to
get
get
it.
it off the floor.
Go on,
Right.
drink it.
Oh,
Too late.
No! He's got to come back all the way up here. Have you kind of exceeded your expectations as how far this would go? I mean, you're
yes.
publishing games now as well.
I think so. I remember resigning was really unpleasant. And my colleagues that didn't really play video games had no idea what was going on. Thought I was like having some crisis or something.
I'm going to assume that meant being
But
fans
like,
of Peteries.
bless them, like for a long time afterwards, I'd get like, an email every month like, how's it going? Do you want a
At least
meeting?
it's clean.
Uh,
Ish.
like waiting for me to say, okay,
I'm ready to come
I've
back
done
to
my
university.
experiment. Can I come back now?
Uh-huh.
And eventually it sort of faded away. It was kind of sad because I had a whole actual
life,
thing that was
really.
going to be my life then, and then I just went down making this ant game, and that's been difficult as well because we haven't come up from doing development of other games or come up with other studios. We didn't know anybody, to bounce ideas off, or like anybody with any experience of releasing a game before. It's our first game that we ever made, and we're still making it. So we haven't actually made one game yet, technically.
We've made 0.8 games.
Hey.
No, yeah. We're nearly there.
You're getting there. Just don't want to rush it, right? You gotta.
There's one major update is left to turn into version 1.0.
Okay. So you're in the final stretch.
Yeah, definitely.
That's exciting.
We got a lot of work done for the sort of the final update done. It's like we do these updates and it takes ages each time. This time, like with the last update, we sort of doubled it up. So all the voice acting for the end, we got it all done. It's all recorded. It's all translated, chopped up. There's a lot of voice acting in the game that takes ages to put in. All the levels are planned
set
out.
in stone now. It's all.
So we know what happens. And the translators know what happens. Nobody else does.
So let's say, for the sake of this question, that you're at 1.0 because you're quite close, right?
Yeah, we're close.
What are some things you've learned from Empire of the Undergrowth of developing it that you would take to with your next project? Like you would do differently, or just some things that you picked up? Because it's like you said, it's your first game. You've come out on a limb. You're obviously dedicated to it, and I imagine you're going to continue to make games.
Yeah. One thing I would say is think about multiplayer from the very beginning, because we can't do it in our game now. It's
gone too far.
Yeah, it's gone way too far. And I remember we did some experiments a few years ago, and trying to I remember like we set up a game with 2 ant colonies and tried to fight each other, and it dawned on us how much there would be to do to get that actually working.
And it was all because of, like, if you can imagine, like, we picked up Unreal Engine, and learned it whilst, like, I don't think I'd done a couple hours of tutorials, and then I was, you know how enthusiastic you are if you like want to get started on a project.
Yep.
Like, right, let's get into it. But that was actually the code of the game that people are playing now. So like you can imagine, there was just so much learning that was actually used in the game, and then we had to go back and remove things, and then we like realized that there was Unreal systems that we were relying on that we couldn't use because they weren't really for an RTS. Then we had to make our own, but we started by kind of bodging stuff in, and then at the same time we're making levels, so those levels are having all kinds of unique things that are relying on this mess that we've made, and then at some point we decide, right, we can't go any further unless we rip that out. Then we have to go back and redo loads of old content to make it functional again. And then so basically you've just got layers and layers of us learning how to make a game that the game is built on. The idea of adding in multiplayer now is just insane. We could do it. We're quite good at it now. Well, not multiplayer, but we're quite good at game development, I think, or at least this sort of game.
Okay.
If we wanted to start again and make multiplayer, that would be doable. I suppose that, the advice would be, I would say make a few projects so you know what you're doing first. But then we didn't, and it went quite well. So I don't really know if it's good advice.
I struggle with that one because I think we found a niche. We really did find a niche. They say it's one of the things, like if you go to any of these like sessions or anything with like the people that run the sessions, so it's different in your country. In ours, it's Yuki and stuff like that. They always say find a niche, find something that is missing, or find what your game is like different about. I think we managed to really hit on one that hadn't been tapped for a long time. Like Simant is what people talk about, and there was another ant game. I can't remember what it was called. But it was
Empire of the Ants.
Empire of the Ants.
Keep it
Um,
simple, Hoops.
And microbes.
Yeah, and no one had really approached it from like the dungeon keeper style or the
Someone
RTS style.
hang in there.
They'd all
You're gonna be
kind of
okay.
approached it. Well, I think Empire of the Ants is more RTS, but it's still they're still kind of looking at it as like I mean, Simant is a simulation,
Mhm.
as you'd expect.
Yeah.
Peter,
And
hang
it's-
in there. You're gonna be okay.
Thanks for getting me back up.
Sorry.
And
I'm alive.
it's and Empire of the Ants. It's beloved by so many, but it did have its bugs even at the time.
Mhm.
I think we were really the first, not the first one, but the first one in a long time to put a lot of thought into the gameplay and the and the flow of it.
Yeah, with ants instead of
Yeah.
with soldiers or
Mhm.
something like
Or
that.
or people or things like that. Yeah.
So for a lot of people, I think they didn't believe they'd get a proper ant game,
Mhm.
and we came along.
Thank you guys for joining me, hanging out, playing some Grounded. We talked a lot about ants. I ate a gross jelly bean, did some funny voices. Yeah, so Empire's End of the Growth is on Steam. It's an educationally adjacent game. Where
We should also say you can get it on Epic and
Epic.
GOG and Itch as well.
Itch as well. So thank you guys so much for sharing your story with me, the rest of us, spending some time playing Grounded, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you
having
very
us.
much for having us. It's been great to have a chat and a play.
Yeah,
always
no,
good fun.
it's been really great, and we hope that everything is smooth to 1.0 and continue to see what you all are cooking up there.
Thanks very much.